Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome
Good
to
morning.
Union
Good morning.
Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. And we appreciate you being here. The topic today, the newsletter we put out on Saturday was, "It's Time to Wake Up." Very, very interesting title, it really is. And it's been coming to me, at me, around me, that we really have forgotten who we are. So I want to address that and talk about it. And then over the next few weeks, how do we get back to where we're supposed to be? Which I felt was a good idea. Because, and Jesus in his work kept saying, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. And there's a lot of references which we're going to cover. And what's interesting is the article came out, and then Larry Hansen was back in town, but I got an email from him. And he said, I had a dream last night, and I got a poem. And then he wrote the poem down, so I had to share it with you. It's only 4 short lines, but it's very poignant. Could be a downer, but it's also an upper to understand. And very simple. I am a child, wondering why. I get no answers, and then I die.
Wow.
Think about that.
Good one, Mary.
We are wandering through no answers because we keep looking outside for the answers. And it was like, oh, wow, thank you, Larry. Okay, I hope you dream some more. But it was amazing that came in. And it helped me put things together, or at least take a context of why we do what we do. And there is a conversation in the universe, if I can use that terminology. It's coming through works like A Course of Love and a lot of the other newer works. And it's time for awakening. It's time to wake up to who we are. And Jesus, I go back to, and I have to go back to Jesus and what he said. Because a lot of people don't believe it. I don't believe it. Because it's too good to be true. See, that's the whole idea. And if you really take in the idea that I am divinity, you are divinity, a lot of people will hold this blasphemy. So it's dangerous to say, I am divinity. Matter of fact, we should say that together, shouldn't we? Everybody, 1, 2, 3. I am divinity. Now, there's conversations about that. Let's go on here. And this is, by the way, this is the Holy Bible. Okay? The Holy Bible. The whole Bible, if I can use that terminology. And references in John. Now remember, John is different than the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, in that it's more mystical, it's more spiritual, if you will. And in John 13, come on here. John 13. Here it is. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me shall do the works that I do, and even greater things shall they do. Now, and again, I say this over and over again, we really believe what Jesus said. So if we really believe that we're going to do the works that he did, and even greater works, what does that mean? You have to have the same powers, the same vibrations, the same ability that Jesus displayed during his time on earth. And then you go to John 10, and John 10 said, Jesus said to them, is it not written in your laws, I said you are gods. So hello. Now we either believe what he's saying or we don't believe it. So when somebody asks me, do you believe in Jesus? I say this over and over again. Certainly, and I believe what he said, because it's written here. Now, if you go on, even in Matthew, Sermon on the Mount, which is the great coming out of Jesus, he says in Matthew, anyway, he says, you are the light of the world. And what is the light of the world? It's an energy that's so bright, it lights up the whole world. So who are you, and what are your capabilities, and what has he told us we are? So it's a fascinating subject. And what I realize is, it's like saying this again. I am a child wondering why. Why am I here? What am I doing here? When I'm here, what am I to do? And then it goes, I get no answers, and I die. And that's the sadness of the whole thing, is understanding and not fulfilling our potential as a child of God. Because when you say child of God, what are we talking about? We're talking about you having powers that are of divinity. And we have forgotten it. A lot of conversations why we don't remember when we get born what happened before. I won't get into reincarnation, but the whole idea is that when we come here, we've been, I want to use the word dumbed down, but that's not right. But we don't remember what it was like in previous incarnations, if you will. So in that process, we have forgotten who we really are. And maybe our job is to return to the Father like the prodigal son. So we are supposed to wake up. Everybody there? Wake up. And that metaphor is just wonderful if you stop and think about it. Now, the problem is we wander around in life trying to wake up from information somebody gives us. Everybody there? In other words, we're part of a religion, or we go study XYZ, or we're a disciple of, or all these paths. They're back to waking up, and they're all pretty much the same. If you really study the basics in the original religions, they're all returning to God type of thing. So it's a waking up to the divinity that we really are, which is the key, which is what we're trying to do. And in that process, there's a journey. Everybody there? There's a journey. I know I was a student of Paul for a while. I was a little bit skeptical about Paul. And see, Paul had this revelation. He was struck by the energy of God when, knocked off his horse or whatever he was knocked off of. And he had a revelation of who he was and what he was. So we're wandering around hoping that we're Paul, but we're not. We have to learn and return back to the Father over a period of time. And there's a process to that. See, here's the problem. You're a creator. Everybody there? You're a creator. As divinity, you're a creator. And what we talked about last week was your words are the way you create. So when you speak, you're creating what you're speaking. Now, can you imagine 7 billion people on the face of the earth forgetting that they are creative beings, speaking what they think and feel into creation? And then you wonder why we have chaos? Because we've forgotten who we really are, and we've allowed the absence of spirit, and we filled in with all the, let's call it the negative aspects of thinking and speaking, so that we are actually busy creating life the way we don't want it. Now, when I criticize or condemn or complain about someone, what am I doing? I'm speaking words that create what I don't like. I'm going to say that again. Do we understand? This keeps coming to me. And I keep coming back, and we'll get through it. But the whole idea is for me to understand, when I open my mouth and criticize somebody, I'm actually creating that which I don't like, more of it. Okay? And then we wonder why we have political discord. We wonder why we have relation discord. We wonder why we have discord in the world, and why we can't get along generally, is that correct? Gender-wise, or racial-wise, or all these things, because we separate ourselves into groups and we say, well, I don't know about that group. And in that conversation, we're actually creating what we don't want. So in the understanding or returning to the Father or becoming that vessel of spirit that we were really created to be, there's a trip here. There's a way to get back to that. Now, part of that, as far as I understand at the neural level, is we get so used to using certain thoughts that they become part of who we are in the brain structure. And we actually grow neuron structures to perpetrate what we've been doing. So if I'm upset about what? Here, let's say I have an obsession about chairs. And every time I see a chair, I get upset. So I've got neural structures that keep creating about chairs are bad. So every time I see a chair, what do? Automatically, boom. So we are full of these neural structures. Now see, we don't know that we have them. Folks, you walked in here today, sat down in a chair, and anticipating that we'd have a great service. Yeah, I know that. But anyway. Now, what I want to tell you is, you didn't even think about sitting on that chair. How did you know the chair would hold you up? How did you know that this ceiling would be up? How did you know that the air conditioning would be on? How did you know that the lights would be on? See, you took all that for granted. You didn't even think about it. So we wander through life automatically programmed that this is the way it is. And if it's different, then we get upset about it. But the problem is if it's different than what we've been trained to think. So if you're going to stop and think about how deeply embedded life is in our consciousness, what are we working to overcome? Okay? So I'm back. Larry, thank you. It really is. I'm not sure what to do with it. I think we should publish it, but I am a child wondering why. Why am I here? Huh? Yeah, well, yeah. So, and I get no answers because I keep asking and nobody tells me. And then I die. But you see, we keep asking out there. And the answer isn't out there. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. It's within whom? All of us. So we are actually one. That's the key. We are the Christ expressing itself. And we are one. And that kingdom of heaven is within. So kingdom of heaven is really a metaphor for everything we've been looking for. All the peace, all the happiness, all the joy, all the abundance, all the relationships, all the happiness is already within us. So where do we need to go for answers? Inside. And it's not out there. Now, I don't know about you, but in my earlier stages of life, I used to be in a lot of churches. Used to be doing a lot of reading. I've read so many books. You know, it's kind of like, wow. And keep looking for answers. And the kingdom of heaven is where? Together within. So where are the answers? They are within. Now the problem is we've been trained not to go within. As a matter of fact, there's groups of people out there that will warn you, don't let your mind go blank, because then the devil will take over. Have you heard that? Oh yeah. And if you haven't heard it, take it in. Okay? Terry.
Maybe that's why the child has to die.
Yeah. And that's the metaphor. That's the metaphor. Yes. See, again, those things are full of understanding, but they don't make sense unless you're on the spiritual side of them. So it's a very, very interesting thing. Now, ye are gods, do as I do. Oh, you're the light of the world. You are a divine being that has forgotten who you are. And I just want, because that's me, and then I believe that's the rest of us. Because we're flailing through life. We're hoping things change. I hope somebody some days let me know the truth. And we're always constantly looking for an answer and wondering why it doesn't come. And the answer is always within. So we go on to page 2. We are the powerful spiritual beings creating our world as we see it, hear it, and believe it. Now, how come we don't see it? And now I'm going back to Jesus' word. You ready? Matthew 13, 15. So Matthew 13, 15. We're going to go there, 13, 15. And you ready for this? Now, I'm not reading the whole chapter, but I'm going to read 15. And Jesus was asked, how come you speak in parables and stories and you don't just speak it? Okay? And how come you keep saying it over and over and over again? This is the question his apostles asked him, disciples. And he said, for the heart of this people has become hardened. You hear it? Mm-hmm. Which means that's a form of amnesia. We forget. And we don't remember who we are. And they hear with difficulty, and their eyes are dull, so that they cannot see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts. Let them return, and I will heal them. So let them return to where? To the Christ selves that they have and we have forgotten about. So it's very clear. And see, sometimes it's like you know, I went looking for verses to support what I was talking about, and they keep popping up everywhere because the Bible's full of it. It keeps talking about we have forgotten who we are, keeps talking about who we really are. You're a child of God, you're the light of the world. There's these things Jesus did, you're going to do. And there's all these promises and we don't believe it. We go, boom, it goes right over our head. So I'm saying, okay, there's a path back, and the path is starting to overcome the hardened heart. And the hardened heart is another term for subconscious mind, if you will, or the beliefs that have been instilled within us since childhood. As far as we know, even before birth. Okay? So it goes on, it says, but as for you, you are blessed, for your eyes, and they are see, and your ears, for they hear. So once we wake up, we see things differently. Now, let me get a little technical, and this is really just from my heart. We know that there's energies, everything is energy. Okay, that's science now. And that everything is energy at high rated vibration. And just maybe, okay, I'm not saying, I'm just saying just maybe there's a master vibration that heals everything. I want you to think about that. Maybe there's a vibration that is higher and supersedes all vibrations. And when we're in alignment with that vibration, everything comes down, they call it trickle down, into handling or changing everything in my life. Those of you that have studied Joel Goldsmith, his primary conversation was, once you become enlightened and return to the Father and know who you are, you don't need to pray for anything. When you're asked to pray for somebody, all you need to do is go in and touch the Father. It's like the woman that was healed by just touching the robe of Jesus. It might be the same idea that there's a master frequency in the universe, and I'm trying to make it practical. Now, could we be criticized? Yes. Okay? But how did Jesus heal? How do people like Joel Goldsmith heal? How do healers heal? And it's strictly a vibrational conversation. So if it is a vibrational conversation, how do we create the vibrations within ourselves to produce joy and happiness and peace and health? Okay, so you get the idea? So here's these two parts of who we are. And the thing to remember is all of us, every one of us, are creators. So the question becomes, what are we creating? And nobody's creating it for us. I hate to tell you that. Because I want to blame somebody else. It really is. You know, and I've been going through all kinds of stuff. Those of you know we went through this challenge in January. And it's very interesting. It's taking time to come back. I am in cardiac rehab now. I'll do that. First, it was intimidating to me. Ever been in the gym and somebody's doing something you can't do? Okay? And I was on my treadmill, and I've been upgraded. So I was on my treadmill this week, and there was a brand new person here, and she was saying, how do you do that? Do you get it?
Yeah.
See, I had forgotten that I started X number of weeks ago, and I'm now up to 2.2 miles an hour. I'm really proud of myself. Right? However, did I get there all at once? No. It takes time. Okay, and it's like an archer. How does an archer learn to be a master archer? They practice and practice and practice. So what are we practicing? Are we practicing the world's illusions? Or are we practicing God's or the Christ illusion in our life? Or not the illusion, reality. So it's a practice. And as we practice, new neural structures show up, And maybe, just maybe, we might have that Paul experience. In other words, that illumination comes in all at once, and it's not something you work for, it's something you prepare for. So I was really fascinated by that idea of the treadmill. I had forgotten about it. I really had. And it takes dedication. I'm reminded of even AA. AA is one of the greatest behavioral change organizations in the world, because they're changing the alcohol addiction to non-addictive, if I can use that terminology. But you don't do it overnight. You go through a process. And in their world, it's a 12-step process, but guess where it starts? I can't do it myself. I need help. And it's that actual turning over and understanding sooner or later that I screwed it up and I need help. Now, the help doesn't come from out there. Now, can I work with advice? Certainly. But the idea comes from within. And it's that difference between this side or that side. And it's a conversation we have to take on a daily basis. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about it. First thing to understand is it begins with forgiveness. Everybody there? So we got to leave the past behind us. Nobody did anything to me except the brain. As I keep saying, I still blame my mother for carrying weight. It's crazy, okay? And we want to blame others, but it's a forgiveness issue. And we have to figure out how to get rid of that overlay. It's like somebody taking a big plastering over our heads with all this upset and anger over the years, and then it solidifies and keeps us where we are. So we've got to start chipping away at it. The next thing that happens is understanding who we really are, because it takes time to really start understanding. Because we are trained in our society to not feel good about ourselves. Is that a true statement? In other words, we have to, does that make sense? And does that happen to everybody? No. It's obvious that there are folks that have been trained to be beyond the normal day-to-day thing, but it's simply a belief thing. Okay? So we have to get through that place. Then we have to forgive ourselves. Okay? Then we have to be open to spirit and learn how to do that. So we're going to be discussing that as we go. But the main thing is, who are we and why are we here? And Jesus very clearly in his metaphor of the prodigal son, we're here to return to the Father. But what happened to the prodigal son? The Bible says he woke up and returned to his father. So everybody, you got the idea? We're looking at waking up. And waking up is understanding that it ain't working the way it is. Maybe there's a better way to do it. And it's a conscious decision. So there's more. I gotta do something else here. It takes commitment, it takes dedication to the process. And the main thing is the promise that the kingdom of heaven is within. So the idea is that we're all looking for that path. We're all looking for answers. And the irony is it's already there for us. All we have to do is slow down, stop listening to the world, and start listening within. And in doing that, we're going to change the world, I believe that. Because the world is so busy, going 100 miles an hour, trying to explain itself to everybody. But the simple answer is the kingdom of heaven is within. So, thank you for being with us. This group, you guys are wonderful. And folks out there, do you understand the minute you make that step, you change the universe around you? Because one step at a time. And the universe is being created by you. I'm going to say it again. The universe is being created by you every minute of every day. And as a group, we are creating a consciousness that literally starts changing the universe. So I love you. I appreciate you so much. And we're about great things. Thank you. I love you.